in today. Thanks for dropping by, or I should say, thank you for finding me here. This is my live cast for my podcast. I mean, I regularly record my podcast called Talking and Reading from Japan. And before recording the actual podcast, I broadcast this live cast to show behind the scenes of the recording of my podcast. So you will see my preparation for the recording and actual recording and the after that. So I hope you enjoy with me seeing my preparations, all the processes for recording the podcast. And I'm Hidemi Woods. I'm a singer-songwriter based in Japan. And as I said, I regularly record and put a podcast called Talking and Reading from Japan, in which I read part of the books I wrote, mainly memoirs, and talk about the selected episode, or anything I feel like talking. And before recording that podcast, I need some preparation. And so on this live cast, I'll do those all the preparations with you. So thanks again for joining me. Well, by the way, from today newly, I added Instagram Live as a new platform. So folks watching this on Instagram, hi, how do you do? Nice to see you. So I'm recording this podcast currently once 3 weeks, and it's I don't know you are watching where you are watching this one, but if you are seeing me in the US or the Europe, it's quite I know it's quite late at night, but I try to be I try to make this show exciting enough to keep you awake. So stick with me. Well, today I will record 2 shows of my podcast, and in each recording I read one episode. And so in total I will record 2 episodes today. And those two episodes are from one of my memoirs that is that's titled "The Girl in Kyoto." It looks like this one, and in this book, I wrote my childhood memories and about my family, my relatives, exactly what actually happened to me when I was a child. And as this book's title says, I'm from a city called Kyoto in Japan. It's a historical old city where many kinds of Japanese old traditions remained. And I myself was raised in a very classic, old style Japanese way in my family, because my family was quite traditional, old styled one. So I suppose I'm a little bit different from those current nowadays Japanese new generation people, because the way of living in those days when I was a child were quite different from the one that they live in Japan in current era. So I think every episode may sound quite unique or interesting, because it's really sort of outdated, but it's old, but it's I think it's interesting from a perspective of a difference between back of those old days and current people's lives. So before recording, I need to read today's episodes, and rough reading is needed, and I'm gonna do this from now on, and then I record one show and I'll come back to you. Then I'll prepare for the second one, and then I'll come back to you again. And after I finish recording all the shows for today, I will answer your questions or comments if you have. So I'd be happy to communicate with you. So feel free to give me any comment or questions about Japanese, questions about Japan. For instance, the culture or the the daily life or anything. So, I'd really appreciate if you give me some comments after recording. Now let's get on to business. Today's first recording is one chapter from The Girl in Kyoto. And there are many cameras, so I don't know where to focus. Now, I'll start by reading roughly today's recording episode. When the construction company executive disappeared with my family's money, his wife came to our place with his daughter. She wanted us to know that she wouldn't shelter him, that she didn't have any idea of his whereabouts either, and how sorry she felt. She begged not to report to the police. While the grave meeting was held, I was sent to play outside with his daughter. I was 9, and she was a year or 2 younger. I used to be shy and wasn't good at being friendly with someone so quickly. But with her, I got along so well at once for some reason. Along the narrow way at the back of my house, clovers grew rampantly. I taught her how to play clover wrestling, and it became uncontrollable fun. I had never laughed so hard so much in one day. That was the most fun I had ever had in my life. We promised to play together again, and she left with her mother. I've never seen her since. As her father's body was found in a gutter a couple of years after the day we became friends, I wonder how her life turned out and how she is now. I hope she's happy somewhere now. That's today's first episode to be read. And next, I'll give a title to this episode, because this is only a chapter of the whole book, so it itself doesn't have a title. But for the podcast, I need to give it a title. And what should it be? I think it's easy for this one. How about clover wrestling? Yeah. Okay, clover wrestling. And I'll write it down for the later reference. Clover wrestling. Okay, done. Now I finished preparing for today's show, the first show, but I don't know what talk I would do. It's spontaneous, so I haven't decided what I will be talking about. So it's a moment things. So let's see what I'm going to talk in front of the camera. Now I'm gonna set a camera for recording the podcast. So there are too many cameras around me now. Okay, all set. So it's time to record. And as I said, after I finish recording, I'll come back to you. So please don't leave, stay there, and watch me recording the podcast show. Let's do it together, shall we? Hi, welcome to Talking and Reading from Japan. I'm your host, Hidemi Woods. Here, I read part of my memoirs I wrote and talk about it or talk about anything that pops up in my mind. I hope you enjoy with me. Today, I'll read an episode from one of the books I wrote, titled The Girl in Kyoto. This is one of my memoirs, and today's episode will be Clover Wrestling. This episode is about a girl I got acquainted with when my house was being rebuilt. Clover Wrestling. When the construction company executive disappeared with my family's money, his wife came to our place with his daughter. She wanted us to know that she wouldn't shelter him, that she didn't have any idea of his whereabouts either, and how sorry she felt. She begged not to report to the police. While the grave meeting was held, I was sent to play outside with his daughter. I was 9, and she was a year or two younger. I used to be shy and wasn't good at being friendly with someone so quickly. But with her, I got along so well at once. for some reason. Along the narrow way at the back of my house, clovers grew rampantly. I taught her how to play clover wrestling, and it became uncontrollable fun. I had never laughed so hard so much in one day. That was the most fun I had ever had in my life. We promised to play together again, and she left with her mother. I've never seen her since. As her father's body was found in a gutter a couple of years after the day we became friends, I wonder how her life turned out and how she is now. I hope she's happy somewhere now. That was today's episode. This happened when my family's house was rebuilt on this very same spot where the old one stood. And so we demolished the old house that stood there. That has stood there over 100 years. For 100 years. And so it had become too old to live. The walls are crumbling down and leaking were everywhere. And so my family summoned enormous courage to rebuild the house. So it was a really, really big event for my entire family. But the constructor company was turned out to be wicked fraud company, and that company was had a nice credit, and it was a local trusted company. But when they took on our contract, the executive suddenly heard a voice of devil, and he lost in the enticed scheme to get rich, and he ran away with all the money we paid. And of course, the payment for the carpenters was stopped, and the executive who ran away didn't take his family with him. He just ran away by himself. So nobody knew where he was. And it was a really mess. And my family called his wife to try to know what was happening to him. And his wife came to my house to explain that she didn't know what was happening either, let alone his whereabouts. She was as shocked as we were. And at that time, our family lived in the barns that stood next to the old house. And although the old house was completely demolished and the new one was just only a frame of wooden sticks, but we refurbished the barns to be able to be lived, and we lived there. And the executive's wife and daughter visited that barns. And the talk between his wife and my family was quite grave and serious, supposedly contentious, as you can imagine. And so her daughter and I was sent to outside. And I still remember the fun we had that day, because I wasn't not social in those days, probably still not so social, and so shy, and I didn't like to be with someone else. But in that particular day, something was really different, and I became friends. We became good friends instantly, and I taught her Clover wrestling. Clover wrestling is, have you ever played Clover wrestling by any chance? It's you pull a clover, pick up a clover from the ground, and then peeled that root from along with stem, and then clover has a thin thread-like thing inside the stem. And so when you remove a stem, it looks like clover leaves are hanging down at the end of a thread. So it was really like yo-yo. And so wrestling is played by it's so dangling leaves are wrestling together between two of the contenders. And after being dangled together, the leaves. We pull to each side, and if leaves are severed from a thread, you lose. And if your leaves stay on the edge, at the end of a thread, you win. That's global wrestling. I invented it in a way. And for some reason, it was so much fun. And it's a nice, fun, good memories. One of good memories of my childhood. It remains like that. But after that, her mother called her and they left. And we didn't have a chance to get together again. And a couple of 2 years later, maybe, I read about his father in a newspaper that said he was found dead in a gutter, probably killed by someone. I think he had debt from somebody not so safely trusted, and the one who he borrowed money from was probably someone we shouldn't have borrowed. And for that debt, I suspect he stole our family's money. Maybe he was gambling, I guess, and he needed money, and a big amount of money for building the entire house was really charming for him. And he was enticed, and he just took that money and I guess probably gambled more to pay debt. But as the world goes, debt increased more, and eventually he couldn't pay, and then he was killed for his debt. And I felt scary about what happened to him, what ending was prepared for him who stole and took and ran away with somebody's money. And the first thing that came to my mind was that girl. I felt so sorry for her. I was so worried about what was happening to her from now on. And I still don't know how she was doing or how everything went for her. But I really, really hope that she's okay. She managed to go through all those things. So by any chance, really, really slight chance, if you happen to see this, Akemi, I hope, I wish best for you. As for my house, it after those fiasco, we was able to finish construction, and it was newly rebuilt by help with my grandmother's cousin, who happened to be a construction, who happened to run his own construction company. He did it for us as one of our relatives in a really, really very low cost, and he finished constructing the house for us with almost no payment. And that was what happened when our old house was demolished and our new house was rebuilt. It didn't go that smoothly. It was a big surprise and chains of unexpected events for our family, and it I can say it ended it well, except for Akemi's father. But as I said, I hope she is now well and fine and happy. That's all for now. Thanks for listening. I'm Hidemi Woods. I hope you come back here again and join me my reading of my book. Thanks again. If you are interested, my books or my songs are available at my website, hidemiwoods.com, HIDEMI woods.com, where all the links are available, and also links to my blogs, my YouTube, my SNS, and merchandise that I designed with and merchandise that has my original illustrations. So if you like, visit there. Thanks again, and until next time, take care and be well. Okay, hello. Are you still there? Thanks for joining me. That's the first podcast to be recorded. It's one down. I finished the first one. And then I'm now going to prepare for the second one. The second one is also from the same book as I just read, The Girl in Kyoto. And this is my memoir, and those things are all what happened to me when I was a child. And the second one was also about the construction of my family's house. By the way, the house I'm talking about here is now gone. I mean, my parents couldn't keep it anymore because their financial difficulty, or let's say their business failure, and so they sold it. And although it was quite new, the new house was also demolished a couple of years ago. Anyway, the second one, as the first one, I start with reading roughly. So you will listen to the episode twice in total. But I hope you stay there, not getting bored. Okay, let's read the second one. During the construction of my family's new house, many contractors and carpenters came and worked every day. As we lived in barns as a makeshift home at the edge of the construction site, I saw them regularly and had a crush on one of the carpenters. He would come to work by car and pass under a pedestrian bridge at the almost exact time every morning. I used the bridge to the elementary school, and every morning when I was walking on the bridge, his car passed beneath it. I waved at him and he waved back at me every time. One day, while I was hanging around near the construction site, he came up to me and handed me a keychain in which miniature playing cards were contained. He said it was a small gift for me. I was over the moon, but that was the last time I saw him, because the construction company executive ran away with all the money my family had paid. The pay for the workers stopped. The construction was abandoned, and no one came to work anymore. Only a carpenter with craftsmanship who carved beautifully patterns on the wooden thresholds came to continue his work without pay after his new job. But the carpenter I had crashed on never showed, and his car never passed under the pedestrian bridge. I cherished the miniature playing cards for a long time. It's about an old crush of mine, which is embarrassing, but what can you do? I was only a 9-year-old girl. So, before recording, like the last one, I need to give it a title. What should it be called? What do you think? What about a keychain? Let's call it a keychain and write it down. A keychain. Okay, it's done. Now, preparation for the second episode is done. So, it's time to record the second one. After I finish recording this one, all the recording for today will be done. And so, I'll come back to you and talk to you. So stay there, please, if you like. Then, let's start the second recording of the day. I set up a camera again. Are you sleepy? Are you okay? Are you awake? As for me, I'm hungry. You may hear or you may have heard already, my stomach is grumbling. See? Did you hear? I'm hungry. Okay. Let's do this. I wonder what I should talk after the reading of my podcast. But let's go with the flow, shall we? start recording. Hi, I'm Hidemi Woods. Welcome to Talking and Reading from Japan. Here, I read part of my memoirs I wrote and talk about it or talk about anything that I feel like talking to you. I hope you enjoy with me. Today, I'll read an episode from one of the books I wrote titled The Girl in Kyoto. Today's episode is called A Keychain. This is about a keychain that a carpenter gave me a long time ago. A keychain. During the construction of my family's new house, many contractors and carpenters came and worked every day. As we lived in barns as a makeshift home at the edge of the construction site, I saw them regularly and had a crush on one of the carpenters. He would come to work by car and pass under a pedestrian bridge at the almost exact time every morning. I used the bridge to the elementary school, and every morning when I was walking on the bridge, his car passed beneath it. I waved at him, and he waved back at me every time. One day, while I was hanging around near the construction site, he came up to me and handed me a keychain in which miniature playing cards were contained. He said it was a small gift for me. I was over the moon. But that was the last time I saw him, because the construction company executive ran away with all the money my family had paid. The pay for the workers stopped. The construction was abandoned, and no one came to work anymore. Only a carpenter with craftsmanship, who carved beautiful patterns on the wooden thresholds, came to continue his work without pay after his new job. But the carpenter I had crushed on never showed, and his car never passed under the pedestrian bridge. I cherished the miniature playing cards for a long time. That was today's episode. When my family's house was rebuilt, the executive person of the construction company ran away with all the money my family paid instead of using it to finish the construction of the house. So my house, our house was left only a frame of wooden pillars and tops were hanging all over the columns, and was just really it was just a primitive stage of construction, so we couldn't move in. It's just a wooden frame with a top roof, and we lived in a makeshift barn, and there was no prospect to finish the house building, and it's just we were cornered, and we were so desperately looking for the executive person, but he disappeared with all the money. We couldn't find him. Meanwhile, during the construction was, while the construction was moving forward smoothly, I had a crush on one young carpenter who was handsome, and I was 9 years old, and he every time I saw his car beneath the pedestrian bridge, he waved at me, and I really liked him, and one day he gave me that gift of a keychain. And in hindsight, he knew it was his last day, so it was his farewell gift for me. He knew all the carpenters would stop coming to my house, the construction site, because the payment had been stopped. But as a child, I didn't know that, and actually my family didn't know that either, I guess. And so I had thought I would see him the next day, and on, repeatedly as usual. But since that day he gave me a keychain, I had never seen him again. His car never passed beneath the pedestrian bridge. And when I learned the actual situation of my house, of the construction of my house, I was astounded, but I was more shocked by being unable to see that carpenter again than by the fact that our money was gone. And while my parents were devastated by the huge loss of money, I was weeping, thinking I would never see that carpenter again. And the construction stopped. Our house was left as wooden pillars, as a wooden frame. And instead of reporting to the police, my family was searching for him by their own. Because as I easily imagine you can't believe it, but as an old-styled family in a rural area of Kyoto, that was very historical old city, that old traditions firmly remained. People in my family considered how they looked. I mean, considered a kind of vain. So they thought reporting police hurt their reputation as a family. They were too embarrassed to report to the police about the theft, because they didn't want to people around them, like neighbors, relatives, friends, no, they didn't want them to know about this mishap. They tried to hide this big incident from their acquaintances, because my family liked regarded the reputation most above anything, so they couldn't report the police. I suspect the construction office executive knew we might not report the police, because it was possible that he knew how vain our family was, and possibly he knew that and ran away. And that was one of the reasons he decided to run away with our money. So, as a child, even to me, my family looked stupid in that respect, because I didn't understand why they didn't report to the police. That the first thing they should do was call 911, I thought, as a child. But my parents and my grandparents together, they talked about how to hide this incident from their acquaintances, how to cover up although they were the victims of the crime, but they acted as if they were criminals. And in a way, it looked so funny to me. 'Cause to me, they looked criminals by discussing how to hide this every night. And I didn't. At that time, I thought I would never understand grown-ups. Their behavior was so strange to me. Anyway, we couldn't find whereabouts of the construction company executive. He just disappeared, and our money couldn't be retrieved, and everything was gone. So when the construction remained stopped, only one carpenter who had supreme craftsmanship of carving woods, and his carving was breathtaking. As a child, even as a child, I saw how elaborate, how beautiful his carving was. He carved in a Japanese home. There are sliding doors called fusuma that is used as a door of a Japanese tatami floored room instead of a door. And there sometimes space between the sliding doors and the ceiling. And in most cases, that space is filled with a piece of wall, but sometimes it's filled with a wooden plate, and a wooden plate can be carved with various patterns of Japanese traditional illustrations. And the Japanese style rooms in my house had those kinds of wooden plates above the sliding doors. And each wooden plate had carvings, different carvings. And that carpenter with superb craftsmanship did all the carvings of that wooden plates. Those were so gorgeous and so elaborate. It was almost art. And he was the only one. You know what? The recording was suspended because of the shortage of memory, shortage of space of a memory card. So the second recording is abruptly suspended. It's almost close to the ending, so now I need to think if I should do over again, all over again, or end here. Which should I do? What should I do? What should I do? It's possible to record from the top again, but also I can stop here because I am so hungry. And I will take this as a sign to stop here. Otherwise, doing over would end up as a flap. It can be, can it? I guess I'm not good at deciding anything, so it's difficult to make a decision. But I think I call it for a day for recording today. Yeah, I take an easy way for everything. So that's my style. Let's not do over and let's just stop here today's work. Yeah, these things happen, don't they? Well, anyway, you witnessed the unexpected flop of my recording, but these things happen. Sometimes I've done this before. It happened again. So I think you enjoy. It's sort of fun to witness somebody's mishap or flop or anything about work not going well. Okay, I've decided. I call it for a day. I stop recording. So, as a result, as a very unexpected result, today's podcast recording ended as only one recording. So, probably the next time I might record 3 episodes or just remain 2 recordings because I'm not so diligent. As I said, I take an easy way. Well, these things happen. Things happen. What happened has happened already, so it couldn't be taken back. So let's let go. Well, so thanks for sticking to me and staying there. I really appreciate it. Those who just joined me here, someone gave me a comment saying, "Well done, thanks." Those who just come in, joined here, I was recording my podcast called Talking and Reading from Japan, where I read part of my memoirs. And I regularly record 2 shows at a time, and I live cast behind the scenes of that podcast. And today I finished one recording, and the second one was aborted forcefully beyond my ability. So I couldn't do anything about it. Anyway, it's I can't say it went well or smoothly, but at least I finished one recording. One show was done. So let's get satisfied with it for today's work. As I said, I regularly live cast on the those pretty much all the platforms for this behind the scenes of my podcast, and it's available everywhere you get your podcasts. And so if you kindly follow or subscribe, I'd be really appreciate your support. I mainly I work as a singer-songwriter, but I also wrote some books. And in a podcast, I read those books. And but if you are interested in my songs, you can hear them at my website, hidemiwoods.com. So I'd be greatly appreciate if you visit there and listen to them. Take a listen someday. Yeah. Someone gave me a comment. See you another show. Yes. I hope you come back here and spend time with me again. It's almost end of May. To me, May is too long. It's a beautiful season with bright greenery, but I have had hectic days recently. Many things have happened around me, and many decision makings are required, and so my brain is close to explode, per se. And but I think I successfully control my stress. I'm not stressed out. I think I'm able to remain peacefully minded, and I'm not in a panic mode. Not yet, maybe. And I wonder how you're doing out there. Are you busy, or are your days peaceful enough? I think today's happening mean aborted recording gave me fresh stress, and it kind of it may affect my peaceful mind. I guess I feel stressed for the first time in weeks with this mishap, and it's funny you all witnessed it. Still I feel unconvinced. I feel really regrettable not to finish today's work completely. There's a unfinished business remained. That means my to-do list has one more task, one more hanging task added to my to-do list. And I don't say I'm a perfectionist, but I couldn't do without doing every single task on my to-do list completed. And I am always chased. I'm always chased by my own tasks. My to-do list is chasing me every moment, every day, everywhere. And my brain is full of something to do that I've just decided to do in a day. So my daily routines are too many, and there are too many daily routines that almost crush me. And I can be so easy if I drop all those things. Anytime I can erase those tasks by myself, because those tasks are made by myself. So it's my free judge to do or not to do those things. But once I decide to do something, I can't drop it. I can't get it out of my mind. So it remains on a list and it chases me. Have you ever felt like that, or are there anyone who is being chased around by your own tasks or your own routines? As you know, once you take it as your routine, decide something as your routine, it's so difficult not to do it, isn't it? In my case, sometimes I regret to begin that routine, because if I didn't start that routine, I wouldn't have felt dissatisfied when I couldn't finish it. Just, I wonder why I add all those routines in my life by myself, and why I can't stop doing those things. It's just my habit to want to complete anything that I start doing. It just can't stop in the middle, in the process. I can't leave anything uncompleted. So, you can easily imagine how uncomfortable I'm feeling now that my second recording wasn't finished. My second recording was aborted. So uncomfortable. So it's like it feels like this. It feels like you take a shower and you go to bed without wiping your body. I exactly feel like that right now. Anyway, today's work is done like that, and it's not what I can do about it. So I should leave it as it is, and I decide to let go. Well, you can listen to or watch those of my podcast show everywhere you get your podcasts. So I'd be grateful if you listen to them, and or drop by here again when I live cast, and I hope you stay with me during the process of preparation of podcast recording, and or just have fun and seeing me recording smoothly, or flapping like I did today. In any way, either way, I'd like to see you again here soon. So come back here and spend time with me again. It's hard to say goodbye, but it's about time for now. Thanks again for dropping by and seeing me recording the show. And I do hope I can see you again. Here. Come back here. Until then, take care and be safe, be healthy, and be happy. See you again. さよなら。Bye for now. See you later. Bye.